Start recording here in a minute. Be in the house too. G'day, brother. What is happening? GG. All right. So what I thought I'd do today, if that is, oh no, brother. Hey, just remember the way we speak to ourselves is the way the universe treats us. The universe doesn't hear positive or negative; it just hears something. So if you say, "I don't want something," guess what you're gonna get? That. So the universe, you don't always have to put out positivity, all right? Just a little mindset before you even get into it. Have you ever noticed, guys, or guys and girls, whenever you say, "I don't want this to happen," like I really hope that this is not gonna happen, that happens. Have you noticed that? Some people, yeah, yeah. It is the universe. You know, if you read The Secret, you know this, but basically, it's the universe doesn't hear I don't want. It just hears whatever you're saying, and it just gives it to you. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. Hey, all right. Well, first of all, is welcome to all the new people joining us. So we are absolutely stoked to hear you can make it live. As always, I appreciate your time. And if not, I'm just gonna put it on the recording so you get to catch up later. What I thought I'd do, because this is our first week, right? I wanted to give us a little bit of a weekend bias to go into it. So we are obviously here Saturday morning in Australia, but still Friday evening in the US. And I wanted to take the market by the bull by the horns, right? Let's have a little look here at what we have. So yesterday, for those of you who just joined yesterday, we were talking about this level right here on BTC. I'll get rid of that so you can see a little bit better. Perfect. So what we were looking at is this candle right here. We were looking at this particular, oops, that's the wrong one. This particular candle right here, this 4-hour order block. And the note says, so long as we don't close below this level, we maintain a bullish environment on an hourly structure. And the reason is we obviously have something called external structure, and then obviously we have internal structure inside, right? But in reality, the moves that we're interested in were this low, this high, this low, this high. And now, guess where we stopped? Exactly, and I'll zoom in, we stopped exactly at that low. Okay, so you can see now what's happening in BTC specifically. We are having, after 1, 2, 3 really bearish candles, especially this second, the last one that we just had, the market is starting to print smaller candles. Obviously, smaller candles means what? Means there's indecision. I'm not going to try to write it. It means that there's indecision. And you can see here, this last 4-hour candle, because we are on a 4-hour time frame, finishing in 53 minutes, is really shaping up to be what? Almost like a doji at the bottom. Now, dojis are those kind of candles that have almost no body and they have a bit of a wick. And you know that these candles are basically doing what? A tug of war between buyers on one side and sellers on the other. If the market doesn't manage to go up and down by a fair amount, that means that the candle has no body. And why is that important? It signals possible reversal. Okay, I'm not a candle trader per se, but there is a thing called candle trading. I'm going to put it as a part of our resources. Don't worry. But what we need to see is here at a structural level, this was the low, and we have kept it so far. Where does that leave us for the weekend? Well, for the weekend now, we need to have a look at what's going to happen in the internal structure. So on lower time frame, what we want to see, and again, these are our squiggles from yesterday. What we need to see is this kind of price action. Okay, so we need to see price continuing down as it has. You can see here, and now we need to see a change of character, meaning from lower highs, we're going to start making a higher high, and then eventually we want to see the breaker structure. Why do I have the little rocket on the second higher low and not the first? Anyone, tell me in the chat, put yourself off mute. I want to know. Why did I not put this rocket here? Right? If this is the first higher high that we make, why do I put the rocket here? we long that shit. Yeah. So the first one is not a change of character. Sorry, the first one is not a break of structure. It's a change of character. Okay, change of character is the market telling you, hey, hey Aussie, hey XYZ, we have now we're now potentially attempting to move from a bearish environment into a bullish environment. We don't take this because more often than not, this is just an inducement, meaning it's a fake out. How many times have we seen doing this and then we continue lower? Or vice versa. How many times have we seen no going up, higher high, and then boom, grab liquidity and we continue higher, right? So this is just inducement, nothing else, nothing new, but we don't trade this first change of character. We wait for the market to confirm a second time, hence the BOS, that it has changed structure. So right now we're starting to have a bit of a picture. On the 4-hour, we have maintained structure. You can see for now, these 4-hour candles hasn't printed yet, still got another 50 minutes. So we never count the cows until they come home, as we say here in Australia. What we need to see is, now we need to see this. If this scenario does not eventuate, we do not blindly open a long. Okay, this is not a I'm gonna long from here and pray for the best. This is not that, because at the moment we are in a bearish environment potentially on the lower time frame, 15 minutes. You can see we're basically trying to catch a falling knife. We don't do those things, okay? So we just have to wait for the 15 minutes, right? Which is a high enough time frame to carry some relevance and giving us enough data point to print a structure to show us a little bit of strength, which in return will signal strength on the 1-hour and potentially on the 4-hour. So the next 4 to 8 hours are really going to be quite vital, right? This is not going to happen right now. We're not going to get a V-shaped recovery, which is that kind of market doing this kind of moves. We don't want to see that. What we do want to see is market slowing down, accumulating, creating liquidity on both sides, and then moving up. Okay, so this is what I would expect, hopefully in a bullish scenario to happen. Okay, what is the bear scenario? Because we always have to have two scenarios when we trade. We always have to have a bullish scenario and a bearish scenario. Well, the bearish scenario is pretty simple. If the 4-hour doesn't hold and we start closing below substantially, not by, a few dollars, substantially lower, then it becomes pretty evident that this structure is in fact broken and we're likely going to print a lower low, which means there will be at some stage some sort of reversal, okay? But in reality, we have shifted into a bearish price action. And if that happens, well, we have levels that we are obviously interested in. So on the daily, the levels that we're going to be interested in immediately are these lows down here. So somewhere in the early 60, right? This daily candle, and would you look at that? This is what I love about trading. Stacking confirmations is my favorite, absolute favorite thing. This daily candle, structure. This daily candle, structure. This daily candle closes in 48 minutes. So within the next 50 minutes, 48 minutes, we will have real clarity as to what the market wants to do this weekend, okay? Which is really good. Ending up for my US friend Friday night, you get into the weekend knowing what the market is likely going to do. If we close above, we're likely going to go higher. And this is going to be an immediate target, this daily candle right here into the 70s. If we close lower, well, we're still going to get some sort of potentially relief, but we just don't know when it's going to print that lower low, right? Because we could just keep going lower. So watch out. The next, hour to 4 hours are going to be real important. So that's Bitcoin out of the way. And if you have any questions in the chat, obviously feel free to post them or just, put yourself off mute. Ethereum, we had this 4-hour order block, which is also, excuse me, a daily order block, same as Bitcoin, right? We had it marked up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, almost a week. This area where we're entering right now is a beautiful order block right there for a couple of reasons. One, it's an institutional candle, grabs previous liquidity, has a big body, and it's followed by displacement on the upside. Ta-ching! And secondly, is also a Fibonacci cluster, meaning that if I am to take structure from the low to the high, or if I'm even take this the Fibonacci from the internal structure of this low to the same high, we have what's called a Fibonacci cluster. Let me show you. Low to high. We'll make this nice and big because it's the external structure, so 4 pixel thickness, and then we take the Fibonacci from the internal structure. This was the last low, right? From this low to this high, and we make this in a nice and small. We'll make it into 2 pixels, and you can see that we have some overlapping of Fibonacci areas here. So when we have this kind of confluence, it tells us that the market is likely going to reverse around this area, which makes sense. We have a lot of confirmations already. Fibonacci cluster, 4-hour order block, daily order block. What I do want to point out though is that we also have a level of liquidity here, 1 and 2. So there is a level of liquidity here sitting just below. This can be a little bit, oops, sorry, let me just go back into the 4-hour. This can be a little bit risky to enter along blindly here. This is just a setup idea. We haven't called it out yet. There was an idea at the beginning of the week where we broke down all the main 4 and we said Solana was the one that was giving us the best risk to reward. We are now entering that area right now. This liquidity pool down here with these equal lows makes for a beautiful entry too. You can see we've got that second setup there, because not only allows the market to come and refuel with, trades liquidity, with retail liquidity, so market makers can effectively execute their longs using our money, but not ours, dumb money. It also allows us to take a trade out of the external structure, so the big move, which is obviously preferable because, as we know, higher time frame always trumps lower time frame. Oh, how do I have participant in this? I used to be able to, now I don't see how. I'm not sure, Sally, sorry, but welcome. Welcome. Don't know, I think maybe, oh yeah, maybe you just have to click on the screen, I think. If you double click on the screen that says live, you should be able to see the big screen, I think. If anyone wants to help in the chat and is a bit more Discord savvy than I am, I think you just have to click on the screen and make it bigger. So yeah, look, Ethereum, all I'll say is obviously we enter a Fibonacci cluster right now. You can see that we're already starting to reject a little bit. We had a couple of wicks into it, but I am flagging this. Okay, so if you do want to wait in the next few hours for that BOS on the lower time frame, you totally can. Just be mindful, there is an entry to potentially lower in Ethereum because of that pool of liquidity, okay? Now we look at Solana. Solana was the one that we looked at last, or at the beginning of the week, I guess, which gave us a real clean change of character break of structure. You can see we were making what? Lower highs, we stalled, and we started making higher highs. And now the structure, obviously with the lows, is still very much intact. I still prefer Solana out of the 3, out of the 4, the main 4s, for the same reason which we talked about early in the week. Let me just clean up this chart a little. We don't need that anymore, and we still don't need that anymore because we're taking that liquidity, and we're taking that liquidity. Nice and clean always. Solana is my favorite setup at the moment, just because of where it's sitting, right? And you can see it's a similar situation where we have low to high, make this nice and big, and we go internal structure now, low to high, and we'll make this a little bit smaller, and we have a very juicy Fibonacci pocket down here. And we also had a juicy Fibonacci pocket down here, which got invalidated. Okay, so we are sitting at what? We're sitting at a premium, or we're sitting at a discount? If I was to draw an imaginary box, right, this is my range. Am I sitting premium or closer to the discount? Discount, that's right. And we like to buy low, okay? And even if I were to draw, obviously this is one range, internal range, and this is our external range. So you can see that both internal and external range, they're definitely closer to the discount area. So trading is all about risk to reward, okay? That's all it is. It's a percentage game. It's all it is I am willing to risk X to make Y. So if I have my predetermined risk, if you're trading with your own capital, I would say, 1% is a good risk. As you get more advanced, maybe you can scale up to 2, but don't do it before you get consistent results and at least you reach a 60% win rate. Okay, and I'll get to these kind of stats in a bit more in depth in the future. Just always try to at least have a 1 to 3 in terms of risk to reward. So I'm risking 1% down here, and then I know that I can make 3%. If for whatever reason this trade gets invalidated and we come for these lows, I've only lost 1% of my account. I'm not gonna lose sleep on it. I'm not gonna get upset. 1% is I'm totally down for risking 1 to gain 3. Okay. The problem is when you don't know your risk sizes and you start all of a sudden risking 5%. I've seen traders, I'm not gonna name them, but you know who you are, trading 10% of their accounts. And man, with 10% of their accounts, if you have 5 bad trades, you lost half of your account. That is the fastest way to get absolutely wrecked in trading, over leveraging and over trading. Okay. So know your risk. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but I felt like it was important. Back to the bias weekend. So low, high, premium area right now. Again, this does not mean I'm gonna go and press buy now on Solana. Okay, this was a setup that we looked at last week. I can add a little just because otherwise people get confused, so they think that we are in a long. We're not in a long just yet. Okay, what we do see, max leverage curve. I know you are, but I like to think, Lunatic, that you, even though you have high level, just a quick parenthesis here. Even if you use high leverage, doesn't mean that you have to risk size. You can use small size and high leverage and still be within parameter. Okay, so I like to think that you're responsible that way. Okay, so I because I know you're trading, and if you were just using that leverage without knowing what you're doing, you probably would have been already liquidated. And the fact that you're here and still winning tells me that you know what I'm talking about. So just a little, hey, I might be wrong, but just a little gut feel. So what we need to see now with Solana and all the other three pairs is obviously changing from from a lower high structure into making obviously what higher highs. Okay, until I see that breaker structure change of character, I'm not going to press buy just yet. All I am is I'm in an area of high confluence and possible reversal with a very juicy risk to reward potential. Okay, so this is where this is where you should be paying attention to the market. We don't like to buy in the middle of ranges. We like to buy at the bottom of ranges. So when we are in the bottom of the range, like we are now in pretty much all of the main fours, we need to pay attention. And the best way to do it is either stare at the chart if you want, or if you don't want to stare at the chart, do what I do, which is every few minutes, in the 15 minutes, I go in the 15 minutes and I mark up the highs. So I know where the structure is. And for the structure, just remember, team, we only use the body, not the wick, right? So I usually do this and I change and oops, let's do it with array actually. So it goes all the way. I'm going to do this and let's say structure. So I got my structure here and then I put an alarm and I have my alarm usually that says, close above equals look for buys, wait for lower time frame confirmation. That means when the market taps into my area, I know I can be out and about shopping, doing whatever I want to, but I will get an alert that the market is going higher. And if the market going higher, then I'll just move my alert to the next higher. And all I want to see is that breaker structure. That allows me to carry on with my day and not being glued to the chart constantly. Okay. And obviously, TradingView gives you the opportunity to have alerts on the paid version. I think on the free version you only get one alert. I can't remember, but for me, alerts absolute lifesaver. So we had a look at Solana, we had a look at Bitcoin, we had a look at Ethereum. Let's have a look at what XRP is doing. XRP is ugly. Once again, let's clean this chart. We're not in any long, but XRP is also coming into a very important area here. You can see we have grabbed what? We have grabbed liquidity in the form of this very beautiful trend line, which our YouTube traders like to trade off. And guess where we are coming into? we are coming into this very, very juicy 4-hour order block, okay, which sits conveniently at the 886. So you can see now we have confluence across not one, not two, not three, but 4 pairs, all sitting around the 886, 786, all coming into a 4-hour order block. When market position itself like this, some setups are just worth taking, in my opinion, right? Because once again, if I'm just risking 1%, I'm not too stressed about losing 1%. What I am not going to do, and I want to make this very clear, is take all 4 setups. I'm not going to take XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and BTC in the hope that one of them hits. No, because all of a sudden, if I have 1, 1, 1, 1, what is 4 times 1 or 1 times 4? It's 4%. And I'm just not going to risk 4% of my portfolio. Okay, so I'm going to pick one that makes excuse me, makes sense. For me, Solana is the one that I like the best. But in terms of extension and ability to wick into certain areas, XRP also does that. XRP, it's not for everyone to trade because of these nasty, nasty wicks and manipulations. But if you learn how to trade volatility, it's a really fun pair to trade. Okay, so something like this for XRP is very much a possibility. With XRP, once you get to know it, you know that you have to really allow for a bit more than just, it's not going to be a very tight stop loss. You need to let it breathe a little bit more because it likes to wick like crazy. And then something like this obviously will be a nice almost 1 to 3. And if I was to come into this fair value order block up here in fair value gap, sorry, fair value gap, right there, you can see it. All this was selling pressure. All this is a fair value gap right there. Coming into that will give us a nice 1 to 3.5 risk to reward. Okay, so I'm going to leave that on the chart there for XRP. This doesn't mean it's a set limit order. I still want to see the same that I want to see with the rest, right? Change your character first and then break a structure after. Hopefully this makes sense. So these are the main 4s that I'm looking at. In terms of macro, what we want to see is where oil is at the moment. Obviously, oil, gold, none of this is important right now because even though you can trade this on things like Hyperliquid and whatnot, in reality, the stock market, which is where the big money moves, it's closed on the weekend. But what we do have, excuse me, is where was the chart? It was here. This was not what we talked about. This is what we talked about right there. And would you look at that? We have this literally in the channel and it's playing out to the T, We said we were likely going to come into this order block and fill this fair value gap. And you can see we had exactly that. So we had a come into the fair value gap, reaction, was just a little bit early, reaction, and then continuation higher. There is a 12-hour order block here, which makes perfect sense for the market to come back to. And I'm going to delete just temporarily the Fibonacci there so we don't get confused. Trying to get you a clean chart so that you can actually see it. And you can see this 12-hour order block is the one that pushes above the equal highs that were formed here, grabs liquidity, and it's followed by a displacement. Okay, so this is a very nice institutional candle on a 12-hour, which we traded now really quite deep into it, at least halfway. So this is a very nice mitigation for this 12-hour order block in oil. And you can see here on the 1 hour, I also have another candle marked up a little bit higher, which is the one candle that takes out all of this liquidity right here. Let me just take it here. You can see all previous to here, those equal highs, equal highs, equal highs. And then we have one last push up, takes out all the liquidity, and then boom, the big displacement. I'd wager that we're going to get up to into this 1 hour candle, or at least to the fair value gap, or very close to it, and then we'll see a reversal. When we see this reversal, and it's, in my opinion, it's not a when, but it's an if. When we see this reversal, or correction, I should say, it's not a reversal, it's a correction, we will likely see assets, gold, all of our crypto, some stocks and things like that, obviously going up because at the moment this is the main narrative. Main narrative is oil. There's no other way around it. It's with the trade, with supply and demand, with logistics, oil is where it's at. So keep an eye on this chart on Monday. But for the time being, there's nothing we can do here in terms of oil on the weekend. I wouldn't go trade. I actually discourage going trading oil in hyperliquid, because anything that it's traded over the weekend in oils and stocks and gold is just manipulation. Okay, because there's no real liquidity. There's no real liquidity depth. What I mean is in the order books, like there is. My wife is in the background. You can say hi. And yeah, so that's what I don't want to. I don't want anyone to get trapped here and go, "Oh, I'm gonna go short now." Don't, because there's a very much a possibility that on the weekend we come higher, and then as the market opens on Monday, we will be exactly at that level and then drop. So discourage from trading oil or any assets really aside from crypto on hyperliquid and those exchanges. So this is just a little macro for more for next week rather than the weekend. But in terms of the weekend itself, for the main four, we already starting to see some price action here on the 1 hour. So let's just be a little bit patient for the next few hours. Really, we want to see this low, so this high and this low taken out. So we want to see this. Okay, so I want to see that one and then that two. And where do we enter? Do we enter from the breakout or do we enter from the retest? In the chat. I know you know the answer, but I just want to check. Do we enter from the breakout? That's right. The money is made from the retest. The money is not made from the breakout. Okay, we're not breakout traders. We don't follow. We don't chase. We always let market come to us. So, but in order for us to let the market come to us, we need to obviously clear the current structure, which is obviously this. All right. Once we clear it, let market do its thing in the next few hours, and yeah, just be ready. Okay, just be ready. That's all I'll say. Cool. So that was just a little quick weekend bias, and also daily bias, because that's what I expect to happen today, to be honest, and in the next day or so for us. Is there any chart or any question that you have in the chat, since we are live and we can answer some questions now? Let me know, and I can definitely answer. Let's have a little look. See, somebody's typing. Yeah, I do like XRP here. I'll also, yeah, Solana is nice. Solana is nice. I like Solana, probably the best. XRP and Sol. But even, yeah, look, none for me. Awesome. What would you consider a healthy win ratio for a trading strategy? That is a great question that you have there in the chat. So for those watching the recording, what is a healthy win ratio for a trading strategy? Healthy win ratio, and this is where it gets funny, and I'm going to delve deep into it. 40% win ratio means that you are losing 6 and you're winning 4, right? This is not healthy, you would think. But with a 3-2-1 risk to reward trades, right? Meaning I'm risking 1 to get 3, you can be profitable with as little as a 30% win ratio, which is wild. That means that you're losing 7 and you're winning 3. This is not obviously where we want to be, nor where we aspire to be. Anything above 45, 50%, I'd say 50% is a healthy ratio. And I say healthy because you need to also know your risk. If your strategy consistently revolves around taking 2-to-1 trades, and you have one trade loss, one trade win, one trade loss, one trade win, your equity curve at 2-to-1 is going to be very, very, very slow, right? Guess what happens if you lose one trade and you win one trade, but your risk to reward is 3-to-1? Your equity curve, right? Equity curve, it's much healthier. So I guess to answer your question, what is a healthy win rate to trade? It's tied into what is your risk to reward strategy. So I'm going to answer by saying that your risk to reward should always be 3-to-1. And a healthy win ratio for that can be as low as a 50%. If you have a 50% win ratio and you have a 3-to-1 risk to reward, you're profitable. You're consistently making money because you're losing one trade, you're winning one trade. So the win rate is not great, but your risk to reward it massively makes up for it. So your equity curve is much healthier. You can just imagine as you get better as a trader, once you start being 60-70% win ratio and you have a 3-to-1 risk to reward, guess what happens? You're really making money. My win rate depends on things. So on gold is a little bit, it's about 75 at the moment. I'm changing my strategy. It used to be around the 80, but now I'm sitting at about 75%, right? Different asset classes. So I don't want to give you the BS. Roughly, I'm sitting at 75% win ratio on gold. And because I'm doing scalps on gold, and I don't want you guys to follow what I'm saying, this is advanced talk now. I'm doing 1 minute trades on gold. My risk to reward is usually around 2.5R, okay, which is below the 3R. But guess what? With 75% win rate and 2.5R, yeah, the equity curve is looking good. But on crypto, we're sitting at about 80%. I know someone was tracking the calls and everything, so we were sitting at about 80% at the moment because we are taking swings, right? So swings are obviously anything on what 4 hour and above, 4H and above. We do have that possibility to also take much higher probability trade. Because remember, team, what carries more? I know that I'm gonna say this until you guys get sick of hearing it. What's more important? Higher time frame, always. So if I'm taking swings, I have a bias that starts from a higher time frame, meaning my trade is already a higher probability trade because I'm taking my bias from a higher time frame. So that's why it also helps to take swings from a higher time frame because it literally gives you better confirmations. Okay. Um, do you have such a TPs that you are necessarily holding a full position for full TP? So full TP might be a 3-to-1. Totally great question there, T-Bone. So when it comes to taking profit at the beginning of your trading journey, but not necessarily at the beginning, depends on what time frame you are. First of all, what time frame I am. If I am on a daily, on a 4 hour, on a swing, on a big swing, I can size up nicely down here. And personally, I'll go up to 2%, 3% on some of these swings because they're such high time frame and because they are such higher probability rate. But as we go up, you can take some partials. Okay, I always encourage everyone in the group to get used to paying yourself, taking partials. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Jordan. Always take partial. Always get used to paying yourself. Okay, the habit of paying yourself is a habit that you need to develop. You need to feel good about being able to take money out of the market. In other words, I don't want you to become bag holders. I don't want you to round trip a trade. That is the worst thing we can do as traders. Seeing that the market, goes up a certain percentage and you could have taken some money and you don't. I don't want you to get into that psychological loop of, I'm not good at trading, I'm round tripping. So that's why I'm always recommending pay yourself, pay yourself, pay yourself, get in the habit. However, as you get more experience in your trading journey, you will learn a big, big, big thing. You learn to trust yourself. You learn to trust your trades and you learn to trust the market to let the market do what it needs to do. Okay. So that right there comes with time. Okay. So I cannot expect everyone in the chats to not pay themselves now. It will be unrealistic for me to put that expectation on you guys because not everybody in their trading journey is in the same position. We are all in different stages of our trading journey. So at the beginning of your trading journey and even halfway, start developing the habits that are going to allow you to become the trader that you want to be. Okay. But you need to get there. If you're here, you cannot expect the same trading habits of when you want to be. So start building the habits as you get along the way. Okay. So all I say is, and I hope this is answering the question, T-Bun, because it is a really, really important topic that I'm very passionate about. it is trading. You get to a stage in trading. Oh, thanks, Ray T, brother. Thank you. And look, Ray T killing traded it right there. I know he's been through this already. You will get to a stage in your trading career when it's not about the result anymore, but it becomes about the system that you build along the way. Okay. The system and following your system and trading your system is what it's going to be important for you as a trader. One day, not now, one day. So for now, develop the habits, pay yourself. Okay. That's all. I hope it makes sense, and I hope it answered the question. It was a really good question. I did go a little bit into into mindset there for a minute, but that's right. Good process drives good results. You cannot have a good result if you don't have the processes in place. Beautiful book to read. It is Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits, right? Which is basically nothing else but the power of compounding. And if you haven't read it, I really urge you to go and read it. You can even audio listen to it. It's the power of compounding, sorry, 1% habits over and over and over again. Okay. And you should do the same. You should literally apply the same process and the same concept into trading. Develop good habits, develop good habits, take profits, be selective with your trades. All those 1%ers, they add up to huge amount in the long term. It's compounding. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks, Ivan. I just going through. Sorry, I didn't look at the comment for a minute. Yes, also IC markets are good. Yep. TPs. I do use props. Yes. I hate having money in the market. I know. Oh, thanks, Righty. Thank you, brother. How many years did it take for you to become profitable? Probably about three full years of trading. Becoming profitable. I have spent thousands, and more. Thousands of dollars learning, doing the courses, doing what work, what doesn't, refining the strategy, looking at different things. So once again, 1%ers takes time. And eventually one day, guess what? One day you hit a turning point where you go, all the things that you did here, all the head banging, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. And one day you hit that point, things start to flow nicely. Now I get it. Okay, but it takes time. One of the things that one of my early mentors used to say, she used to say, trading is the hardest of the easiest way to make money. It is so true, right? Making money in trading is such a luxury that we have. Like the fact that we can just be sitting here on the weekend, studying a chart, clicking buttons and making magic money is fantastic. It's easy, right? It makes it look easy. But in reality, trading is the hardest of the easiest ways to make money because you need mindset, you need rules, you need all these things, right? That's right. It's the easiest, hardest way to make money. That's exactly right. All right, team. I hope that first of all, thank you for joining on such a short notice. I really appreciate it. But I thought, I jump in because we didn't do the Tuesday call this week. We're gonna do one call for the core people every week, right? One core, and then obviously the elites get two calls because they get an extra week on the Thursday. Now, team, I will be flying to Bali tomorrow. So I was gonna put a little plane emoji, but I'll try to connect, of course. Only thing that I will flag is I might not have a recording capability. So for the next 2 weeks, I might not be able to record. I'm trying to sort it out now as we speak, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to because I need to take the work machine, the work laptop, because I'm launching a new feature and whatnot, and the work machine unfortunately does not allow me to install certain things. But I am traveling. I will still be live. I will still be I will still be connecting. I'll still be looking at charts. So nothing changes on your end. I just wanted to flag the minor possible inconvenience. But someone is always welcome to record if they want to. That's gonna be me. How do you get my selfie, mate? Take it down right now. I'm joking. I'm wearing a singlet already, though. You can see I'm wearing a singlet already. I'm in the spirit already. And I haven't been drinking for 2 months. I've done 2 months no booze. Can you believe it? Aussie hasn't been drinking for 2 months. I'm so proud of myself. I've lost 7 kgs in 2 months just by not drinking. Yeah, I have been drinking a ton of coffee, but I've been getting into the ginger beers. But all to say that I'm actually really excited to get my first beantang. If you've been to Bali, you know what a beantang is, the beer that everyone drinks. The cost, yeah. Bugger all. Guys, girls, thank you so much for joining. Oh, anytime, lads. I'm just glad that I could give you guys at least a weekly bias. So yeah, just be a little bit patient on the market, okay? Just let it do it, sorry, oh my gosh, I can't speak English. Let it do its thing. And as I say down here, let me just go read that. We want to let price show you its hand. That's why I always have it on the chart here. Let price show you, meaning 1, 2. Okay, just wait for that confirmation, BOS, and yeah, we'll be good. Question before everyone tunes out. Do you guys, and I'm gonna put it to you guys here, with the recording, do we want to put it on YouTube as well, or do we just want to put it onto the channel? And I only ask because when the recording is a little bit long, sometimes Discord doesn't let me upload too big of a file, just a Discord. But I can put it on YouTube just with the people only with the link. YouTube is fine. Quick poll. That's okay. I don't really care. It's easy for me. I'm okay with whatever. I'll ask the max. It's just that for when we do slightly longer streams, we're not gonna be able. Yeah, cool, perfect, easy done. And look what just Bing does. Solana close above means see the little alert. This is why it's so cool, because I could just be going, I could just be on the beach sipping bintangs right now that I know that the market is shifting. Yeah, cool. All right, YouTube it is. Team, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for joining live. I hope I answered some of those questions. I really love talking mindset. Is one of my absolutely favorite things to talk about. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day or evening. Ciao.